Discover the incredible heartwarming lessons on protecting what truly matters in life. In the quaint streets of their Midwestern town, Sarah, a determined single mother, fought to carve a life for her 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Every day began before dawn, as she scrubbed tables and swept floors in the local diner, all the while dreaming of brighter days. By night, she traded her cleaning apron for a waitressing uniform at a bustling cafe, weaving through gossiping patrons who never saw the battles she fought. The sun-soaked fields stretched beyond the picket fences, a stark contrast to the shadows of judgment cast by those well-off families whose wealth dripped from their designer clothes. Their disdainful glances cut deep, igniting a smoldering bitterness in Sarah's heart. She tucked Lily into bed each night. An ache settled within her. "You deserve the world," she whispered softly, brushing a stray lock of hair from her daughter's face. Those words held the weight of dreams and disappointments. A lullaby waited with hope that one day their lives could be different. But how? The whispers and disapproving looks of the neighbors echoed in her ears, each judgment feeling like a nail in the coffin of her self-worth. Complicating her burdens was Jonathan, her estranged father, who towered over Sarah's thoughts like a disapproving ghost. Once a successful businessman, he turned cold after life's ups and downs led him to disavow Sarah's choices. His absence from her world was a constant reminder of loss, wrapped tightly in regret. Was she failing? A torrent of emotions swirled within her. Resentment fueled her discussions with Lily, while shame kept the lines of communication with her father tightly bound. Lily, however, remained blissfully unaware of the complexities of adult life and found joy in unexpected places. One fateful evening, while rummaging through their dusty attic, she unearthed a family secret, the kind that had the potential to stitch together frayed relationships. It was a letter yellowed with age that spoke of love, forgiveness, and dreams long buried. With the town's annual harvest festival nearing, excitement crackled in the air. The promise of laughter and merriment beckoned to Sarah. Yet anxiety coursed through her veins. Could this be a pivotal moment in their lives? Just when it appeared that joy might prevail, tragedy struck when the other children misinterpreted a playful interaction between Lily and a neighbor's child. Accusations flew like arrows, and fear gripped Sarah's heart as she stood before the murmuring crowds. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As she opened her mouth to defend Lily, she felt the weight of years crashing down on her. Each judgmental glance became a catalyst for a surge of strength. "Enough," she shouted, her voice trembling but forceful. In that charged moment, Sarah laid bare her dignity, revealing a quiet integrity that resonated in the hearts of the townsfolk. Even as their judgment threatened to drown her, she fought back with the truth, unmasking the hurt and the resilience that had always lain beneath the surface. The realization that she couldn't change the past was liberating. Could this moment serve as the bridge toward acceptance she had desperately needed? In the fray of conflicting emotions, the flicker of hope began to burn bright, hinting at a deeper reckoning. Would the truth about their family secret emerge in time to heal not only Sarah's fractured relationships, but also the long-held biases within their community? The tension hung thick in the air, and the chapter of their lives was far from over. Sarah could feel it. The murmurs of the crowd faded into a distant hum as Sarah stood there, her heart pounding in her chest. She could feel the weight of every pair of eyes on her, the sharpness of their judgment cutting through her like a knife. But then in that moment she noticed Lily's wide, innocent eyes locked onto her. That gaze grounded her, ignited a fire she didn't know she still possessed. Tears threatened to spill as Sarah breathed deeply, channeling every ounce of love she had for her daughter. "You all think you know my daughter," she began, her voice steadier now. The confidence swelled within her, washing over the fear. "But you don't. You haven't seen the light in her heart, or the kindness she shows to everyone around her. None of you know the truth about her, about us." The townspeople shifted uncomfortably, the air thickening with uncertainty. A few exchanged glances, questions written on their faces. Sarah pushed on. Do I need to remind you how cruel children can be? Even more so when adults aren't willing to see through the surface? As she spoke, a new clarity began to unfold. She wasn't just defending Lily. She was reclaiming her own worth. You see a poor single mother, and I see a warrior who is fighting fiercely for her child. We are worth more than your labels. You will not strip us of our dignity. With each word, Sarah felt the shadows of her past start to recede. For so long, she had let the perception of others define her worth. Now, standing before the townsfolk, she understood that she had the power to rewrite the narrative of her life, to break free from the wounds that Jonathan had unwittingly left behind. The crowd began to quiet, the echoes of accusation fading as people processed her words. Some of the parents whispered to one another, but Sarah pressed on. Lily deserves to grow up surrounded by love, not fear. Let us teach our children that everyone has a story, and no one deserves to be judged by their circumstances. Sarah's plea hung in the air, a lifeline stretching across the divide that had once separated them. She caught sight of Mrs. Henderson, a woman she had long respected even amid the whispered criticisms. To her surprise, Mrs. Henderson nodded slowly, a glimmer of understanding in her eyes. It felt like a small victory, but it meant the world. With the festival looming and the opportunity for connection on the horizon, Sarah took a step back, feeling momentarily relieved. Let us make this harvest festival a celebration of our community, a chance to lift each other up rather than tear each other down. We can do better for our children's sake. Lily's face brightened as she rushed over, wrapping her small arms around Sarah, who knelt to embrace her tightly. Together they could feel the warmth of hope rekindling a sense of belonging. This was only a beginning, a step towards something greater. Sarah glanced up, her eyes darting over the crowd now softer, more contemplative. But just then a voice broke through the quiet. It was Jonathan, his tall figure emerging from the shadows, and the gasp that swept through the crowd was unmistakable. Houses whispered his name, a reminder of the past Sarah had tried to escape. The moment felt heavy, and every heartbeat echoed the uncertainty of their story. Sarah, he began, uncertainty tinged with longing. What did he want? The air crackled with anticipation, and Sarah felt the fragile thread of her newfound strength start to unravel. Was she ready to face him? Would their family secret be the key to healing? Or would it throw her world into further chaos? Sarah looked at Lily, who watched her mother with unwavering faith, and felt a surge of determination rise within her once more. The truth was coming, and with it the chance for reconciliation. But she would need to decide if she was ready to embrace it. What would Jonathan reveal that could change everything? Jonathan stepped fully into the light, his face a mix of apprehension and something deeper. The crowd, once brimming with hostility, held its breath. Sarah's mouth went dry, and her heart quickened in rhythm with her thoughts. Memories of their life together crept in, laughter shared, arguments fought, and love lost. She clenched her fists, channeling her inner strength, just like she had while speaking for Lily. Sarah, please, his voice cracked, a tremor of vulnerability breaking through his bravado. I know things have been hard. The townspeople leaned in, curiosity finally overpowering judgment. They were witnessing a moment, a raw slice of reality that cut through all the noise. Sarah looked at Lily, who was still holding her mother's hand, her small fingers tightening around Sarah's as if she understood the weight of the moment. Hard? Sarah scoffed, her voice steady, but a flicker of hurt danced in her tone. You left us. You didn't just walk away from me, you walked away from your daughter. Lily glanced up at her mother, confusion etched on her young face. It broke Sarah's heart to see it. She wanted to shield her from the pain of this encounter, yet here they were. Jonathan shifted on his feet, eyes darting away for a brief moment. I know, and I can't change the past. But he took a breath, gathering himself. I've been working on something. I want to be a part of her life again. I want to be a dad. Silence enveloped the space, the gravity of his words weighing down the air. For Sarah it felt like a punch to the gut. All those nights lying awake, questioning everything, they rushed back, overwhelming her with doubt and fear. Was she willing to risk Lily's heart again? Do you think that makes it okay? She shot back, anger boiling just beneath the surface. You can't just walk back in after all this time and act like you care. I do care. The desperation in Jonathan's voice echoed among the crowd, and a few townsfolk shared sympathetic glances, their expressions revealing an understanding she wasn't sure she wanted. I've made mistakes, big ones, but I didn't know how to handle being a father. I was scared, Sarah. But I'm ready now. Lily squeezed Sarah's hand tighter, unspoken feelings passing between them. Sarah's heart twisted, torn between wanting to protect her daughter and feeling a glimmer of hope that maybe Jonathan had changed. Could he really be the dad he'd never been before? What do you want from us? Sarah's voice softened, a quiet plea hidden in her words. We've built our lives without you. It hasn't been easy, but she hesitated, battling the turmoil of her emotions. We've made it work. Jonathan stepped closer, earnestness in his eyes. I want to show you both that I'm different. I'm here to fight for my family, for our family. Sarah looked again at the crowd, still watching, still silent. The misunderstanding in their eyes was replaced with curiosity. A few nearby parents whispered to each other, trying to grasp the shifting dynamics of this moment. But for Sarah, the focus was solely on Jonathan and the piercing gaze that mirrored her dilemma. Prove it, she said finally, the words slipping out before she could rethink them. Show me. Show Lily. Show everyone. Jonathan's eyes widened, hope flickering in the depths. I will. Promise. As the soft murmur of the crowd began to swell, Sarah felt both empowered and scared. The winds of change were blowing, but how would they navigate this path together? Would letting him back in mean healing for their family? Or would it rip open old wounds that could never truly mend? Lily watched her mother, head tilted slightly, an expression of unwavering trust solidifying their bond. Jonathan's journey was about to begin, but so was a new chapter for Sarah and her daughter. As Sarah took a deep breath, the question hung in the air. Could they really build a new life together? Or was this just the beginning of another difficult struggle? The crowd stirred, whispers morphing into murmurs, uncertain excitement bubbling beneath the surface. Jonathan stood there, heart on his sleeve, trying to bridge the gap he'd widened with time. Sarah's breath came quick, each inhale stinging with unresolved feelings. She felt the weight of eyes on them, each gaze heavy with judgment, pity, and open ears, waiting for the next words to be spoken. Let us take it slow, she said, more to herself than anyone else. Turning her attention to Lily, she crouched down so their eyes met at the same level. Sweetheart, how do you feel about this? Lily, her innocent face a mix of confusion and hope, took her time to respond. I don't know, Mommy. I've missed him. Her voice was small, almost a whisper, but it cut through Sarah's heart like a knife. The unfiltered honesty of a child. Jonathan watched, the tension pooling in his chest. You've missed me? He asked, his voice trembling with the enormity of the moment. Yes, Lily replied, the word filled with a child's longing. But Sarah could see the slightest hint of wariness behind those big, bright eyes. That essay start, then Jonathan continued, encouraged. He took a hesitant step forward, but Sarah instinctively raised a hand, her protective instincts flaring. Careful, she said, her tone softer but firm. You have to understand something. You broke us. It's not just about you wanting to be a dad now. There is so much more to it. Jonathan nodded, absorbing her words. I know you both have gone through so much without me. I can't erase the past, but I can try to be here. Now. A new wave of tension washed over them. The crowd had quieted, sensing the struggle unfolding. Some familiar faces, neighbors who had witnessed the dissolution of Sarah and Jonathan's union, shifted uncomfortably. They had their opinions, unspoken judgments that the air carried. Like I said before, Sarah snapped almost defensively, you're going to have to prove that this isn't just talk. She sighed, frustration pooling in her throat. You need to understand the risk we're taking. Lily's heart is on the line. You having your transformation doesn't guarantee anything. Jonathan swallowed hard, hurt coloring his features. What if I can show you how serious I am? I'll do whatever it takes. Actions speak louder than words, she replied sharply. For all I know, tomorrow you'll vanish again. I'm not going to let you hurt her again. I won tea. From the edge of the crowd, a friend of Sarah's chimed in, gentle but insistent. It's going to take time, Jonathan. You'll have to earn Sarah's trust and Lily's love back, one step at a time. Time, Jonathan repeated, as if testing the word itself. What if we started with small things? I could take her to the park, help her with school, even just be there for both of you without demanding anything right away. The suggestion hung in the air, hopeful yet fragile. Sarah's heart raced, her instinct screaming in protest, yet her mind wandered. Could it work? Could they start anew piece by piece? Lily beamed, her youthful excitement carving a path through the tension. Can we, Mommy? I want to go to the park. Seeing her daughter's eagerness, Sarah's resolve wavered. This was about more than her. This was about Lily, who deserved a chance to explore this new angle of family, even if it terrified her. Just remember Jonathan, she finally said, still keeping distance. One wrong step and you'll not only break trust with me, but you'll break her heart. As the crowd began to disperse, conversations bubbling back into life, Jonathan finally felt the pressure of expectation settle over him. He had to prove he was more than just a ghost of the past. But Sarah's heart was heavy. Doubt and cautious hope intertwined, leaving her teetering on the edge of possibility. Would she be able to watch her daughter navigate this path without jumping in to shield her from hurt? And as Jonathan took a tentative step toward Lily, Sarah felt the tension chase her thoughts, leading to an uncertain question. Was she ready for the implications of having him back in their lives, or would this journey unravel everything she had fought to build? The park glowed softly in the golden hue of late afternoon, shadows stretching long as the trees swayed gently in the breeze. Jonathan watched Lily skip ahead, her laughter a bright note cutting through the air. It was a sound he had missed more than he could put into words. He followed at a careful distance, feeling the weight of Sarah's cautious gaze on his back. Each step he took was heavier than the last, laced with the fear of failing again. Are you okay? Lily turned, her small frame bouncing with the energy of the moment. She was blissfully unaware of the tangled emotions swirling around her. I'm good, sweetheart, he replied, forcing a smile that did little to mask the anxiety creeping up on him. Just taking it all in. As they approached the swings, Jonathan crouched beside Lily, who was already swinging her legs in anticipation. How about I give you a push? He offered, gauging her reaction. Really? Her eyes sparkled, bright and trusting, and Jonathan felt a flicker of hope. This was a moment small, simple, but pivotal. He began to push her gently, his hands steady and firm. Each push seemed to erase a little more of the distance that had defined their relationship for so long. Lily squealed with delight, throwing her head back, her laughter filling the space between them. Sarah's watchful presence remained a weighty reminder of the stakes involved. Jonathan glanced at her, hoping to see her approval. Instead, he found her arms crossed, lips pressed into a thin line. He understood she was still wary. He needed to show her, not just tell her. Just like that. He encouraged Lily, who was now soaring higher. Feel the wind in your hair. As she laughed and twirled, there was a lightness to the moment that felt almost surreal, like a dream he never thought he would return to. I could do this forever, Lily declared, and Jonathan caught a glimpse of what could be a future that felt undeniable but was still so fragile. But Sarah's voice broke through his reverie. Are you pushing her too hard? Her words were cautious, a blend of protectiveness and doubt. Jonathan paused, taking in her concern. No, she seems happy. Isn't that what matters? Just remember how fragile it all is. Sarah's face softened reluctantly, and for a moment, Jonathan saw the cracks of her armor. It's going to take time, Sarah, he replied, a plea and a promise all in one breath. I want to earn that trust back. He turned back to Lily, ready to be the father she deserved, the father he had never really been. But as the swing slowed down, renewed worry clouded his mind. What if this was a facade? What if he couldn't sustain this? The transition from absent father to active participant was daunting, and he felt the weight of every expectation pressing down on him. Want to try the slide next? Lily chirped, brimming with energy. Absolutely, he said, heart swelling with affection. He watched as she dashed toward the slide, excitement radiating off her like a warm glow. And yet, as they made their way, Sarah's eyes held him captive. They were a storm of fragility and resilience, love and mistrust, and it terrified him. Jonathan took a deep breath, needing to keep Sarah's doubts in mind, aware that every small win could also lead to a devastating fall. Lily scrambled up the slide, calling out for him to come. Her innocence was a bomb, yet the undercurrent of reality loomed like a shadow. Watch me, she shouted, and Jonathan felt compelled to be the anchor she needed. But with each joy-filled moment came the nagging fear. Could he really stay? Could he really protect their hearts? Would he only to hurt them all over again? As the sun dipped lower, casting a shimmering glow over the park, Jonathan took a step closer to Sarah. Would she let him close enough to share this moment? Enough to be part of their lives once more? The question lingered between them, heavy but unspoken. What would it take for them to truly heal as a family? And as laughter rang out once more from Lily, Jonathan tightened his fists, determined to rise to the occasion even if it meant peeling back layers of fear he'd been carrying for too long. But the stakes were clear. One misstep could shatter everything he was trying to rebuild. Could he really prove to Sarah and Lily that he was a new man, ready to step into their world? The moment hung there, fraught with promise and fear. Jonathan understood now that every moment counted. And with each laugh that erupted from Lily, he sensed the fragile thread of hope that could pull them together or tear them apart. What would tomorrow bring? Lily climbed to the top of the slide, her little fingers gripping the edge as she peered down at Jonathan. "Are you coming, Daddy?" she called, her voice a sweet melody of innocence. He took a step forward, heart racing. The joy in her eyes pulled him closer, but Sarah's shadow loomed large beside him. He glanced up at her, and for a brief moment their eyes met. The unspoken question swirled in the air between them. Can he really do this? Can he really change? As he approached the bottom of the slide, Jonathan forced himself to shake off the doubt. "Of course. I'm right here," he shouted back to Lily, trying to sound confident. Determination surged within him. He wanted to show both of them that he was serious about being present. With a playful leap, he crouched down, ready to catch her as she whooshed down. "Here we go," she squealed, pushing off and gliding down the slide, arms outstretched like she was about to take flight. Jonathan caught her with ease, lifting her high into the air. "You did it!" he exclaimed, feeling the warmth of her laughter blanket him in pure joy. She squirmed playfully, and for a moment, it felt like everything was right in the world. But then he felt Sarah's eyes on him. He turned slightly, meeting her gaze again. This time there was a hint of a smile on her lips, the first hint of warmth he'd seen that day. Maybe all wasn't lost. Maybe they could find their way back together. "Your turn, Mama." Lily beamed, her enthusiasm bubbling over. "You have to try the slide too." Jonathan watched as Sarah hesitated, an unsure look crossing her features. He desperately wanted her to join in. "Come on, Sarah. It's fun. Just one slide," he encouraged, his voice light and teasing. The silence stretched between them, thick with tension. For a heartbeat, he feared she'd refuse. But then she let out a laugh, soft and unexpected. "All right, but if I fall, it's your fault," she said, moving forward with a mix of reluctance and curiosity. As Sarah climbed the slide, Jonathan's heart raced. Each step she took was a step toward renewal. He could see the flicker of memories flashing behind her eyes, memories of simpler times when joy was so easy. Lily cheered as Sarah reached the top, and Jonathan felt a swell of pride. "You've got this," he shouted, clapping his hands together. With a deep breath, Sarah looked down, her expression playful yet apprehensive, almost like she was about to face an important decision. Then she pushed off, gliding down faster than Jonathan expected. Lily's squealing laughter echoed as Sarah landed with a thud in Jonathan's arms. The three of them tumbled to the ground in a fit of giggles, and for a moment, the world around them fell away. It felt like they were a team again, working together as they once did. But as they caught their breath, Jonathan felt that familiar weight settle back in his chest. The fear of losing this moment overshadowed the joy. Was one day enough to patch the cracks in their family? Every laugh, every moment they shared seemed fragile, like a delicate bubble ready to burst. As he looked at Sarah, their eyes locking again, he saw the flicker of hope battling the doubt. "We're doing this, right?" he asked softly, wanting reassurance. "We're trying," she replied, her voice steady but laced with uncertainty. Jonathan nodded, feeling both the promise of tomorrow and the weight of yesterday pressing on his shoulders. He knew the road ahead would be tough, and he'd have to fight the urge to retreat to what was comfortable. Loving them well meant challenging himself every single day, confronting his past and forging a new path. But there, in that moment, surrounded by laughter, he also felt something else, a ribbon of hope winding its way through the fear. What if this was just the beginning? "Let us do this again tomorrow, okay?" Lily chimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Sure, kiddo, Jonathan responded, holding both her and Sarah's gazes. What if tomorrow was the day everything changed for good? He longed to believe it could be true, yet fear lingered just below the surface, making him question if he was really ready for such a leap. As they all embraced in a warm group hug, Jonathan felt the fragile threat of their moment just a bit stronger. But as he closed his eyes, he wondered how long it could last. Would they be able to keep it together against the winds of doubt that would surely come? And just as that thought crossed his mind, a soft voice cut through the air, pulling him back. Hey, look at those clouds, Sarah pointed up. And a shadow passed over Jonathan's heart. Wouldn't he? They need to weather more than just uncertainty. As they moved forward, the warmth of their hug began to fade, and as Jonathan pulled back, he noticed the clouds Sarah had pointed out. They were dark and brooding, swirling ominously. A sense of dread crept in, but he shook it off. Today was not the day for fears. Today was about connection, about rekindling lost sparks. Let us go to the swings, Lily shouted, dashing off in that direction, her laughter trailing behind her like the sound of a cheerful bell. Jonathan and Sarah exchanged hesitant glances but followed Lily, propelled by her infectious joy. As they settled into the swings, Jonathan felt the breeze against his face, the sweet scent of grass and tulips surrounding them. Do you remember pushing her on the swing when she was little? Sarah broke the silence, a gentle smile forming. You were always so overprotective. He chuckled, the memory brightening his heart. I just wanted her to be safe. But you were right there cheering her on. We were a good team. She nodded, looking away, as if the memory was bittersweet. We were, she agreed softly. The distance between them felt slightly less daunting, but Jonathan could sense that old tension still hanging in the air. Let us do it together. Lily's excitement was infectious. You can push me, Daddy, and Mama can give me a push after. Jonathan grinned at his daughter's enthusiasm, but just below the surface, a flicker of nervousness ignited. Could they really work this out? Could Sarah let down her guard enough to join in on their little world? As Jonathan pushed Lily into the air, her delighted squeals filled his ears. He couldn't help but smile. Her laughter was a balm to his tired soul. But he could feel Sarah watching from the sidelines, arms crossed over her chest. Was she worried? Skeptical? Come on, Sarah. Join in, he called out, still pushing Lily higher. It's fun. Just like old times. She hesitated again, uncertainty shadowing her face. But then came a shift, subtle yet significant. All right, she said finally, with a glimmer of resolve. She stepped forward, taking a spot beside Jonathan, and a moment, she was gently pushing Lily along with him, light-hearted laughter mixing with their daughter's joy. Jonathan felt a rush of warmth. They were together here, fighting against the world outside their little circle. But as Lily squealed with each swing, Jonathan's heart tumbled with memories of darker times. Past arguments echoed in his mind, words that cut deeper than he ever admitted. Could the love they felt today overshadow all those painful moments? Was this worth it? He wondered silently, watching Sarah's face as she leaned closer, joy bubbling up as their daughter soared higher. With each back and forth, his heart filled with hope, yet dread lurked nearby. What happens when the swings come to a stop? He thought, doubt creeping back in. Finally, they all stopped, breathless with laughter. Lily hopped off, her hair wild and knotted from the wind. That was the best, she declared, eyes sparkling. See, Sarah? We can do this, Jonathan said, turning to her with a hopeful smile. Her expression was a mix of pride and fear, a reflection of his own heart. We did, but just one moment at a time, he replied, cutting her off gently. We'll figure it out together. But deep down, Jonathan wrestled with a question that threatened to surface. A question that could unravel everything they just started rebuilding. What if one moment isn't enough? In that silence, Sarah's fleeting doubt twisted through his heart. He could feel the air thickening, the clouds above darkening ominously, and suddenly he wasn't sure if today was a fresh start or just a temporary truce. As they started back toward the park entrance, Jonathan's pulse quickened. What if tomorrow holds more complications? He thought, anxiety weaving its way through his chest. But the tug of hope wouldn't easily release its grip. He needed to take that leap, but was he strong enough for that dive into the unknown? Behind them, Lily skipped ahead, completely carefree, while Jonathan and Sarah walked side by side, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavily in the air. What would tomorrow bring? Would they face the shadows of doubt together? Or would the clouds finally burst? The walk back to the car felt longer than it should have. The vibrant greens of the park blurred into the background while Jonathan tried to focus on Lily's bright chatter. Her laughter was like a buoy in a turbulent sea, pulling him back from the depths of uncertainty. "Can we have ice cream, Daddy?" Lily piped up, her eyes wide with hope. It was a simple request, but it felt like a lifeline. A chance to stretch out the moment, to capture the joy they had just shared. "Of course." Jonathan smiled, glancing at Sarah for confirmation. She nodded, albeit with a weak smile, the earlier warmth fading back into something more guarded. Did she feel it too, that pull between joy and fear? As if their happiness was balanced delicately on the edge of a knife. As they walked toward the ice cream stand, Jonathan felt the tension simmering just beneath the surface. He desperately needed to break it, to reinforce the bond that had felt so fragile ever since they found themselves on different sides of whatever had driven them apart. "Remember that time we all made ice cream sundaes at home?" he asked, trying to drown out the quiet doubts swirling in his mind. He didn't even care that the memory was flawed. Perhaps the kitchen chaos had been more than just a little fun. Sarah's expression softened, and for a moment it looked like she was going to smile, really smile. "Yeah, Lily covered the whole counter in sprinkles." Jonathan chuckled, the memory brightening the air around them. "And you had to scrub the kitchen while I held Lily back from eating all the toppings." Lily bounced on her toes, completely engrossed in the tale. "I was just trying to help." "Helping or not, it was a mess," Sarah said, finally cracking a proper smile. They reached the stand, and Lily launched into another enthusiastic request, eyes darting from flavor to flavor. Jonathan exchanged a brief glance with Sarah, relief flooding through him. If they could keep talking this way, if they could share moments even as small as these, maybe they just might find their way back. After they ordered their ice creams, they settled at a small picnic table nearby. Jonathan watched as Lily dug into her cone, blissfully distracted. The way she savored each lick reminded him of why they were fighting to make this work. It was worth it, wasn't it? But then he caught Sarah looking down at her own ice cream, her brows slightly furrowed, as if she were trying to decipher a puzzle. "You okay?" he asked softly, hoping to draw her out. "I'm just thinking," she replied, her voice quiet but steady, "about everything between us." Jonathan's heart raced. This was what he had been waiting for. "Me too. I want to talk about it." "Really?" But her gaze didn't meet his, and he could see the conflict swirling inside her. What if we just can't go back? What if we're just caught in a loop, repeating the same mistakes? It hit Jonathan like a punch. The weight of her words pressed on him, heavy and unyielding. "But what if we can break that loop?" he proposed, leaning forward. "What if we learn from it instead of repeating it?" She finally looked up, her eyes searching his. "That's a lot easier said than done, Jonathan." He took a breath, his mind racing. It wasn't just about the past, they had to make new memories that would overshadow those darker times. The idea sparked a flicker of hope, and he smiled at her, forcing himself to stay steady. "Then let us start making those moments now. Together." Together, the word hung in the air, an offering, a command, a plea. As they sat in a moment of shared silence, Jonathan reached out, gently brushing his fingers against Sarah's hand on the table. She looked down, the small contact igniting a tiny spark of something. Was it hope? A cautious smile tugged at her lips, but just then, a low rumble of thunder echoed in the distance, and the sky darkened further, bringing a chill with the hurried breeze. Jonathan's heart dropped. "It's going to storm." Lily looked up, concerned. "Are we going to be safe, Daddy?" Jonathan's pulse quickened. Would they stay protected beneath that storm? "Yes, sweetie, we'll be okay," he reassured her, though his racing heart spoke otherwise. With uncertainty gnawing at him, he glanced at Sarah, her expression a mix of worry and determination. Could they handle what the storm would bring? Would it finally wash away their fears or drown them in doubt? As they began to rise and move toward the car, Jonathan realized that their journey wasn't just about the ice cream, but about facing the coming storm together. Would the dark clouds above finally burst? And would they find clarity afterward? What awaited them on the other side? As they reached the car, the first droplets of rain began to fall, pattering against the windshield like tiny, anxious hearts. Jonathan hurriedly helped Lily into her seat, his mind racing. He watched Sarah's reflection in the rearview mirror, her brow still tense. He wanted so much to lighten the mood, but he knew the storm brewing inside her was more substantial than the one outside. "Why don't we listen to some music?" he offered, picking a playlist that usually got them singing along. Music had always brought laughter and life into their car rides. But when he pressed play, the cheerful notes felt distant and muted against the heavy atmosphere. Lily didn't seem to notice. She was busy tapping her ice cream cone against her knee, the sound rhythmic and innocent. Jonathan turned his gaze to Sarah. "What's on your mind?" he asked, his voice gentle. "Do you think we really can change?" She replied, finally meeting his eyes. "I feel like so much has happened. Can we really just hit reset?" His heart sank. She was voicing his own fears, and it was hard to find the words. "Think we can. It won't be easy, but we owe it to ourselves and to her to try." He nodded toward Lily, whose wide eyes were fixated on the window, watching the raindrops race each other down the glass. The storm intensified and thunder rattled the car. Lily flinched, her small hands instinctively reaching for Jonathan's. He took her hand, holding it tightly and trying to project strength. "We're safe, sweet pea. Just a little rain. Your ice cream is going to get wet," she exclaimed, trying to shift her focus from the darkening clouds. Sarah released a shaky laugh, and for a heartbeat Jonathan's heart lightened. There it was again, a crack in the wall, a flicker of hope. "Just like life, huh? Sometimes it rains, but you have to enjoy your treats anyway. Can we have hot chocolate instead?" Lily proposed, her eyes sparkling as if she had just thought of the best idea in the world. "Definitely," Jonathan replied, giving Sarah a knowing smile. "A family tradition. Hot chocolate when the storm hits." But as she smiled back, he saw the doubt flicker in her eyes again. "What if it doesn't just rain?" she whispered, her voice almost lost in the rumble of thunder. "What if it storms? What if we lose everything we've built?" The air thickened with her fears. Jonathan squeezed Lily's hand, feeling the mix of dread and desire swelling within him. "We won't let that happen. We'll just have to face it together, she repeated, testing the word, as if it might hold the key to everything. The storm outside seemed to roar in agreement. Rain lashed against the car like a tempest of emotions, transforming into tangible noise. In that moment, Jonathan's heart raced with a resolve that was new but familiar. "We can't give up. I refuse to lose you both." He searched her eyes, needing her to see the truth of his words. "I want to be better for you, for Lily." As they sat in the growing storm, they finally caught a glimpse of what lay ahead. They were far from the finish line, but this roadblock might lead to a deeper connection. Just then the thunder cracked loud enough to shake them all. Lily whimpered softly. "Hey," Jonathan said, tilting his head toward her. "Why don't you tell us your favorite thing about ice cream? Something sweet to counter this storm." She perked up, a huge smile blooming on her face. "Sprinkles. They make everything better." Jonathan laughed, his heart swelling with love and determination. But just as Lily began her joyful explanation, lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating Sarah's face for a brief moment. Jonathan's breath caught in his throat. He couldn't ignore the tension that still lingered between them. "Lily, what do you think we'll find on the other side of the storm?" he asked, hoping his daughter could remind him of the innocence they were all striving to hold on to. Lily thought for a moment, then declared, "A rainbow. It always comes after the rain." Jonathan felt the weight on his chest shift, the tiniest flicker of clarity igniting within him. He looked at Sarah, who was gazing at their daughter with wonder. But beneath that he could see her struggles. "The thing about rainbows, sweetie, is that they only show up when we're willing to face some storms," he mused softly, marking the moment with an emotion that felt almost tangible. As the rain poured harder, they sat together, united against it, each of their storms blending into a singular fight for clarity and connection. But perhaps the hardest path still lay ahead. If they could find each other, what secrets would they unfurl? What truths still lingered in the storm's darkness, waiting to be found? The storm raged on, each raindrop a pulse of energy, a reminder of the struggles they had faced and the ones still ahead. Inside the car, Jonathan, Sarah, and Lily formed a tiny fortress against the chaos outside. They listened to the symphony of nature, a collision of sound and water that echoed their tumultuous emotions. Lily's laughter overpowered the thunder, a buoy of light in their dim reality. "What about sprinkles?" she exclaimed, now hope in her voice. Can we have rainbow sprinkles next time? Jonathan turned, a smile creeping across his face. Absolutely. The more the better. Sarah's lips quirked into a soft smile, but behind her gaze lay the weight of uncertainty. The clouds above might shield their connection, but inside the car, rays of love flickered between them. He longed for that insistent light to break through once and for all. Hey, remind me, Jonathan started, keeping it light. Why are sprinkles so special? Because they make even plain ice cream happy, Lily replied, eyes sparkling. There it was, that childhood wisdom wrapped in innocence. Jonathan turned to Sarah, whose gaze softened as she caught Lily's radiant energy. See, he said gently. Sometimes it's the little things that matter most. Yeah, and it's like when you get through the storms, Lily added, bobbing her head. You can always make it happy again. Sarah's breath hitched ever so slightly, the truth of their daughter's words sinking in. Jonathan seized the moment, cherishing the bond they were forging, and pressed on. Lily, if we can promise to be there for each other, then we can find the rainbow too. What do you think? Like a team? Lily asked, searching both their faces. Jonathan smiled brighter. Team always. One step at a time. As the rain drummed against the metal roof, the sensation wrapped around them like a warm blanket. Jonathan's heart raced with unspoken fears lingering in his mind, but for now they could breathe through it together. Could they truly stick together, rising above the many storms that threatened their journey? During the hardest times, Sarah finally broke the silence, her eyes steady. That's when we must hold on the tightest, right? When everything else crumbles away. Exactly, Jonathan agreed, feeling the weight of her words. We may falter, but we won't break. I don't want to repeat the past. I want a new future. The sounds of Lily munching on her melting ice cream filled the air, anchoring them in the now. With every smile Lily flashed, Jonathan felt a piece of solid ground beneath him, a glimmer of a bright horizon filled with possibility. Days passed, and they began to establish a rhythm, small outings where laughter-filled spaces caught the sunlight breaking through. Nathan took every chance to step into his father role, and seized every little moment for connection. Each excursion deepened their bond, a walk in the park, a movie night at home, shared stories over dinner that rekindled the spirit of family life. With each day, the sprinkles of joy began to paint their experience, little moments adding up to something beautiful. Sarah, while cautious, watched him, saw how he was trying. She fought her own waves of doubt, but she also felt hope fluttering behind those wary eyes when they passed through moments of light. Jonathan's determination to be different, to be present, kindled a spark in her heart that she couldn't ignore. And as the days wore on, that spark began to cultivate connection. They faced tough conversations about their past, and navigated the terrain of shared pain together. Jonathan offered real apologies that came from deep-grooved flaws he had tried to avoid before. His willingness to open this door felt like a gateway toward healing. Sarah found herself slowly letting down her guard, layer by layer, as she witnessed Jonathan's sincerity. One evening, they sat on the porch, the setting sun spilling warmth over them like melted butter drizzling on hot cornbread. Jonathan cradled a small, bundled piece of paper, his heart thumped in time with the sea of butterflies in his stomach. Sarah eyed him curiously, heart racing in tandem, keeping pace with his resolve. What is it? She questioned softly, the golden hour lighting up her face. I wanted to share something special, he began, his voice a quiet determination. I've thought a lot about our family, and how I can show both you and Lily that I'm committed to building trust again. Lily had fallen asleep on the couch but remained wrapped in a cocoon of warmth, oblivious to the conversation blossoming around her. Jonathan took a steadying breath and continued, this is a promise not just to you, Sarah, but to both of you, a pledge to be the dad you both need. Unfolding the paper revealed drawings he had crafted himself, crude but heartfelt. These are sketches of the things we can do together. Making memories, going to the park every Saturday, sprinkles included just us as a family. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes as she looked at each corner of the sketches. The abundant sincerity struck a chord deep within. You really mean this, don't you? She asked, her voice trembling with emotion. I do, he replied, the warmth in his gaze unwavering. This isn't an escape plan from the past. It's a way forward toward rebuilding together. Jonathan, she whispered, feeling the weight of his words. Her heart swelled. experiencing a mix of vulnerability and burgeoning hope. What if it really works this time? Would that mean letting go? Letting go of the hurt and reclaiming joy? Yes, he confirmed, catching her eye. It's what we both long for. The shadows of doubt still lingered, but glimmers of belief began dancing across the surface, illuminating the path ahead. They were still weathering a storm, but something in the air shifted. Together? She asked, the question landing softly. Together, Jonathan promised, with conviction strengthening within them. They returned to the living room, back to their sleeping child. In the quiet of shared love and effort, there was a promising whisper, a tentative agreement to embrace what was ahead, and that moment. As parents and a family, they understood that the journey would require work and tenacity. But they felt renewed. Life was uncertain, questions still lingered, but here they were, committed to facing whatever came next together. As Jonathan took Sarah's hand, she felt the warmth between them, a radiant glow, scattering the clouds. The storm and struggles were merely the backdrop to the story they were crafting, a testament that whatever life threw at them, love always found a way to shine through the rain. And as they watched their daughter, cocooned in sleep, a child who only knew moments laced with hope and laughter, they realized this was not just a new chapter. It was an inspiring narrative, one they wanted to keep writing together, one page at a time. Now it was time to dream, to envision a life painted with family adventures, laughter, and yes, sprinkles too. In that shared moment there was an understanding. Together they would greet each storm and welcome every rainbow. And in doing so, their story unfolded into something beautiful. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and comment below with your reactions and feelings about this unforgettable ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Spread the love, spread the story.